Welcome back to another Outdoor Philosophy. And as we close the end of 2019 and the end of this decade, and off to the start of a new glorious decade, I wanted to look back just a little bit and leave you with one idea. Something that happened about 10 years ago. And that is this big technology revolution. There are three different things all converged all at once. We had the proliferation and the cost decrease of broadband internet so that nearly everybody now could get pretty fast internet. I mean, pretty fast at least for that day, which was, maybe up to 5 Mbps. And then the second major convergence is the mass proliferation of social media, which caused all of us to create these accounts and start putting our lives. This was really the shift when we went from being online anonymously without using our real names to everyone's like, everyone use your real name and connect with your friends. And then the third thing is the proliferation of devices, which at that time we had Blackberries. iPhones were just coming out. They were still extremely expensive, way out of the range of the average person. But around 2010, 2012, the prices of cell phones dropped down, the prices of broadband internet dropped down, social media came up, and we had this massive convergence of these technologies where everybody now carried with them a super trackability pocket computer connected to high-speed internet with social media that collected everything about us that we did. And what ended up happening as a result of this is we really did turn into a society that we cast aside the old ways of doing about everything for this new glorious convenience. We got rid of our digital cameras and replaced them with a phone. We got rid of our car GPSs and replaced them with a phone. We got rid of our music players and replaced them with a phone. And one thing you can look at this and say, it's so amazing we have one piece of technology that can take the place of all of these different tools that we used to have. But the danger is it produces this massively addictive thing that's always with us 24/7. It's like you leave without the house. You may as well leave your house without your wallet or your car keys or something. I mean, this is bad. And I encourage you as we move on to the next decade to stop, reflect back on your life. If you're old enough to have a life 10 years ago, I want you to stop and take some time and think back to our life without these things. And ask yourself, is things really better off or worse off with it? Have you noticed a shift towards more addictive trends or not? Are you doing better emotionally, psychologically than you were? I would wager the answer to some of those questions is yes. More convenience. We have, fewer devices to carry around, fewer devices to remember. But I bet that all of our mental health is a lot worse than it used to be. And that's problematic. And so I want to take this time over the end of this year and just say, I want you to stop and consider the ramifications of leaving the phone off sometimes. Maybe carry it with you if it's an emergency factor. And I understand that. I mean, I had a cell phone back when cell phones were brand new things. This is back into the late 90s. And, back then your cell phone battery would last, I think it would last maybe 5 hours if you kept it on. You'd have about an hour of talk time on it. The thing was so big, it was like an old cordless phone. It wasn't something that comfortably fit in your pocket. But when we had these things, we had cell phones for an emergency. You kept it off. It stayed in your glove box. It stayed in your bag. For me, I bought my first phone because my mother's actually a little crazy. And she's like, call me when you get to school. Well, we still had this thing called long distance back then. And I'd have to cross the county line. It was only like 10 miles away, the university. But I'm also like, 18 or 19. I'm an adult. I'm like, Mother, I'm not calling you because I got to the university. I'm not 5. And it caused some contention. So I said, you know what? I have a job. I have my own money. I went down to what was at that time Cellular One. And I got me my first cell phone. And I got it and I said, look, I have a cell phone. I'll call you if there's a problem. That phone was amazing because we actually did not have long distance charges. Like I'd have long distance charges calling other places, but within the two counties I lived, the county I lived and the county I went to school in, There was no long distance between those, so it's like I could make a call without long distance charges. It was so amazing. Of course, we only had, I think back then the plan was only like 60 minutes a month or something like that. So you have about basically an hour to talk on the phone a month on your regular $20 contract. And you go over that, you're paying a lot more money. So that's the cell phone technology when I first got a phone. But I got it for that emergency purpose, And of course, we did live in there were some times some pretty dangerous weather. And I understand that. But at the same time, I'm not going to call every single day, get to university. I'm sorry, I'm not a dysfunctional person. So I got a phone. It's like, I got a phone for emergencies. So at that time, we kept our phones in the car, in my bag. Like my phone actually stayed in the original box, really, inside of my bag for school. So I had a stand, like it wasn't like a backpack, but it was more like a shoulder pack, And I just kept the phone in there, and if there was a problem, I could pull it out. If I needed to, have a spare minute or so, needed to call somebody, I could pull it out. It was I was like the envy, man. I was like the only freshman on campus that had a cell phone. It was amazing. But I deemed it worth it. And I think it was, but it was for an emergency purpose. Now our phones are not emergency. They have moved beyond the realm of emergency past the realm of necessity and into pure addiction. And I encourage you, take some time this year, turn that phone off, or at the very least, if you're not going to turn it off, remove the things from the phone that can distract you. Make sure your phone turns not into your ultimate toy for doing anything and everything when a spare second comes up, but turn it into a device that's there to reach you and nothing else. Delete social media off of your phone. Trust me, you will do fine. You can go home to your computer, schedule yourself an hour, half hour probably is better, half hour a day, maybe half hour a day, twice a day to jump on social media and see what all your friends are up to. A lot more than that, you're going to get addicted to it. It's problematic. Remove all of the things off of your phone that are a pure distraction. Those of you who are of a religious persuasion, stop using your phone at church or your worship center. Bring a Bible. Bring your holy book. Really. Stop relying on the phone for everything. That's what my encouragement is, because a decade ago, 2010, we weren't all walking around with these, and I think our society was a lot better for it. Now, if you're a young person, you're in your 20s, you don't understand. Find somebody who's into their 30s or 40s maybe, and ask them this, how was life before a cell phone? Reflect back, because that was the big thing that happened in our culture, in our day. The last decade, and this decade is the decade we gave up our lives for a little tracking robot we carry with us 24/7 in our pocket. Let me know your thoughts on all these in the comments down below.